everyone, welcome to my show. Be sure to hit like, follow, and subscribe on YouTube and Twitch for all my exclusive content. Hello again, Fleet Commanders. Tiberius here with another quick video for you. For some reason the microphone wasn't working, but I don't edit videos, so that's going to get stuck in there. What I wanted to do a quick video on today is because I'm finally at the point where I can do the final scrap of the SS Revenant. I wanted to just kind of go through that process real quick. It's no different than some of the other processes along the way where you've been scrapping it and tearing it up and whatnot. Just remember this is a G6 only mechanic because you can't get here without getting the epic materials. So when you're scrapping it to go to Mark III, you'll see it on the... we go inside and take a look at the actual skin. There are specific little lock gates on the ship skins. So if we look at the Mark II, it tells you, do this, get this benefit. The refinery upgrades if you're Ops 51 or higher. Before you take it to Mark III, again, tells you here's all the upgrades you get. By the way, the refinery bundles only upgrade if you're Ops 61. Now, what that means is the cost goes up as if you were, a level 51 or 61 plus player, accordingly with what your thing would be. However, the 51, if you're not 51, you don't get the rare materials, so you can't keep upgrading the ship. If you're not 61, you don't get the epic materials, so you can't keep upgrading the ship. You might want to hold off on scrapping it then, because basically you're going to end up overpaying for your daily bundles, because they're still going to charge you the price as if it would have the higher level materials in the bundle, but you're just not going to get them. They're just going to leave those out for you. So it's it's a fine line between, do I want the ship to be stronger so I can kill bigger things, or do I just want to wait until I get my appropriate ops level there so I don't have to worry about killing the actual overpaying for materials and things like that. But I am now officially at tier 15 here. We went ahead and did all the upgrades. It's level 71 out of 75, which is as far as we need to take it. And that's what we're going to do right now. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the scrapper. Now, before you do this, a couple quick reminders. This is why I want to make the video. A couple quick reminders. First off, go into your starship tree. Make sure you've got any relevant research and stuff done. There are a couple in here, of course. You want to make sure you've got maxed out, including this one right here, which gets you the bonus highway. So that way you can skip right to the end of the 70 systems. So make sure you get that one done. This one you can't do until after you scrap it and you get the bonus, because you won't have enough of the ionized particles. You have to get the gift from the scrapping to finish that one up. Ordinarily, you'd want to make sure you're doing this one to maximize your loot bonus before you scrap the ship. The other thing a lot of people recommend is to have a small surplus of about, I think it's about 3 million or so approximately, materials of the epic, because when you scrap it and go to rebuild it, even though you'll have the extra efficiency, if you want to get it all the way back to 15, I think that's about what it costs. So we're going to find that out for sure in just a second here. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to swap it off of an active dock. Sure, we'll just take that one. I think it's a pretty quick scrap, so... Oh, I'm upgrading my scrapyard. Well, that was awfully smart of me. Whoops. And... yeah, I guess we're going to use some Latinum because I don't have a whole lot of speed ups available. Alright, let's see what we're working with. Let's see what we're working with. Alright, 35 minutes, so not a terribly long scrap, especially because I can get some help, so that'll cut that down to about 15. I'll pause the video so you guys don't have to sit there and listen to 15 minutes of me just babbling. But as you can see here, I'm going to get the hull scan to rebuild it. I'm also going to get the Mark IV gift bundle key. That's what I'm most interested in. I'm also getting 126 million ship XP. Well, that looks like fun. As well as some of the lower level parts as well that I haven't been using, so this really shouldn't be a problem getting it back through those levels. It's just going to be the epic materials that'll be a little bit of a problem. So let's hit that button and we're going to scrap it. And let's hit the help button, which is a little wonky now. And then we'll do a quick pause to wait for the Alliance to hit that help button and be right back. All right, we're back and we are ready to hit that button. I finally got the helps from the Alliance, waited a couple minutes. And now we are all set and ready to go. So let's hit the button. Let's scrap it. Let's get our rewards. There we go. Everything that we need. Now, before we go ahead and rebuild this thing, we're going to go into our Armory. We'll go to our ship skins. You know what? Actually, I think I have to rebuild it first. Or there's a conversion I have to do. See, there's so many steps to this thing. So I have to get my blueprints back. There's my blueprint so I can rebuild my ship. And then I'm going to hit my evolution gift. This is my one-time gift. This is the shards I need for the skin. I also get the advanced chips. There's the ionized particles I was talking about to do the research. And I also get myself a handful of some G6 Sigma and 5-star materials as well. Okay, thank you. I'll take that. So now, just looking at my base bundles here, there's no rare materials in here. 390 is what we're looking at, and crystal's also the same, 390. But no 6-star rare. I've got 5-star guaranteed rare and uncommon, and a chance at epic. But that should change when I apply the skin here in just a second. Hang on, let me move my miner before I get killed for being 0 node. My apologies for the delay. All right, so now we did that. Let's go in here. Let's rebuild our ship. It is an interceptor. There's the Revenant. We'll get going. Speed that along in just a second, but first things first, let's hit our refinery. And if you're looking at timeline to do all this, I went back and checked. I posted my video in mid-March on the first time I was scrapping it when I had gotten it to tier 5 and I was going through this whole process. So that was at the end of March that I did that, which means I probably got the ship at the beginning of March. It took probably 2 or 3 weeks to get it to tier 5 and do that first scrap. And now we're mid-September, so 6.5 months all total to take this ship from start to finish is actually a really aggressive timeline for a lot of compared to a lot of the other specialty ships. You know, I mean, obviously we all take the 100 days to get it to acquire it free to play, but even a lot of other, you know, ships just you don't they take longer. They're so time gated and locked out on materials and whatnot. And I didn't do. I mean, I did a few, you know, double pulls, you know, pretty consistently with my research and stuff, or my daily materials and whatnot. But I didn't do a whole lot extra. I didn't dump a lot of, you know, event store currency or anything into upgrading this. Maybe like if I had a little left over and was like, what am I going to do with? I'll take two bundles of this just to knock a day or two off my Revenant grind. And then this is the advanced one. Again, there's a good amount of guaranteed rare 6-star materials in here, as well as some guaranteed titanium and par steel and dilithium. So these bundles are pretty big. These 10-day of rewards that I'm going to get here. But what I want to actually really see is the Armory upgrade. That happens when we do this Mark IV unlock. Great 42,000% cost efficiency, so we love that. That's huge. And now the refinery bundles should have all reset. Bam, maxed improvement. So this wouldn't have changed. That's my guaranteed rewards. But this bundle right here, still giving me the materials. So if I want to keep scrapping it and rebuilding it, I certainly have that option. And there are certain events that do come around, some of these Chronicles events and things, where you get points for upgrading the Revenant. So you know, being able to always come back and participate in this is pretty awesome. Does not look like the cost here changed much. 14 and 42 is pretty consistent with what I was pulling previously. But the amounts of these materials went up a little bit. In the basic refinery, it's still just commons, though, in there. The Polygon exchange here, also getting the same sort of materials and chips here, getting a little more guaranteed materials in here. Again, not any other drastic bonus in that aspect of it. But let's look at our fabricator chips, because this is where all of the guaranteed materials come from. So no, the amount went up. We went from, I think it was 320 and like 1400, now up to 480 and 1700. So the amount of the guarantee went up for 6 star. 5 star still here. There is a chance over here, again, to a chance. You're saying there's a chance. Guaranteed to pull one of the following. It's a 17% chance to pull rare. Not great, but certainly better than we've seen in some other refineries. Yeah, so 17% chance to get the 6 star rare bundle. Okay. I mean, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. So let's go ahead and take my guaranteed pull. I got 10 days of these. This is awesome. This is a nice little bump of both titanium as well as G6 rare materials, which I desperately need. We'll take our single pull here for now. That'll give us a fabricator chip guaranteed, as well as a little bit of Sigma materials and speed ups and whatnot. Some Nexus particles for research. I can't do a polygon pull. I'll have to wait until I can do one of those armadas in another 3 days when this resets. And this is what I do need. I do need gas. So let's pull one of those and hope. Hey, 17% right there. Just like the way it's supposed to happen, because I'm on stream and I'm recording this. Just to show that it was just purely dumb luck. I did not get it in the other one. See, it's not completely rigged. It's not completely rigged. Okay, now we're going to finish rebuilding our ship. And now comes the long, fun, grindy part of tiering it back up. Because there is no instant just like use all materials and go to tier 15. I have to start all the way at tier 1. Now, obviously, it's ridiculously cheap, and we're talking about 22, and I have 3.5 million, so it's just a whole lot of clicks. And I think you guys kind of get, I think you get the point. Leave in the comments if you know what movie that's from. It's a classic. It's a classic. All right. Just for curiosity's sake, I'm going to pause one more time so you don't have to watch me click and go all the way through all these levels. I'll unpause it periodically when I get to a change in material, like when I get to tier 5 and tier 10, just so we can see what the new values look like. But I want to see just how far I can get it all the way back and kind of estimate if that 3 million, I think is the cost they were projecting, if that's accurate. So be right back. All right, so we quickly got it through to tier 5. Now we're switching over to the rare material. Again, still using incredibly low amounts, and because of how many days I've pulled the refinery, I have 3.5 million stockpiled up, and I'm using, hundreds for the first level of upgrades here. And we're going to do this for 5 more levels. Keep on upgrading this kind of stuff. Again, I still have, 3.5 million of the uncommon left. It really didn't take anything at all. Getting back through the rare is also not going to be all that challenging. I'm going to have plenty of materials left available to do that with. So we're just going to go through 5 more levels here until we hit the epic. And, check in and see where we're at with that. All right, here we are a couple of minutes later, and now we've switched over to using epic materials. I'm at tier 10, working on tier 11 components. These are a little more expensive. We're starting at 20K per component. I've got 3.8 million though, so we'll see what I end up with at the end and just how much it took here. And then I get the fun part of, all of this fun ship XP over here. Now it gave me 126 million ship XP when I scrapped this thing at level 71, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to need all of it if I want to get it back up. And you do, of course, because that's not only impacting your ship abilities over here, it's also impacting your lower deck slots. All right, so we're going from tier 10 to 11. We're up to 9 days now per tier up. And let's check in just a couple minutes and see how we did. All right, we're on to the final tier now. This just jumped up significantly. The tier 14, I was using like 30,000 a component. As you can see, it only took me less than a million to go from tier 10 through 14. Now I'm on the final tier and it's costing some of these components over 300,000 a piece. So this final tier is very pricey, did not get much of a discount at all. And this is where people are like, okay, that's why you need it. If you have a smaller amount, you'll get it back to tier 14 pretty easily. I think, like I said, I used less than a million to get it to tier 14. But this last tier itself is going to take probably about 2.5 million. So I had 3.8. I think I'm down to like 400K now. So it was a little over 3 million is what it took. 3.5 million almost is what it took me to bring this ship all the way through that final tier back to 15. So keep that in mind when you are planning your rebuild, just how far you can take it. And of course, you want to make sure you can get it all the way back as far as possible so you can then do, now that you've got the materials, you can do these last little researches over here too, because this L Orin revenge strategies, in addition to needing this material here to get you the increased credits, also does require a tier 14 ship. And we're going to finish up this one. We're going to use some stuff on that, get that extra 2,000% off of the solo armadas. And then I should have enough to finish up the rest of some of these too. Here's an extra 50% construction speed. Absolutely take that. That's Sigma resources getting saved. Here's an extra 80% research speed. Absolutely take that. We did the ionized plating a minute ago. That got me an extra 90% efficiency to my Sigma titanium and dilithium cost of upgrading ships. And then here's one for those same materials on research as well. So these are all done now. And this one here is crystal gas and ore when upgrading ships. Some people don't like doing these because they feel like it hurts them in material spend events and officer spend milestones. I keep taking them because I'd rather just spend less materials and be able to get further. And if I don't happen to do as well in an officer event, I'm okay with that. A lot of the officers are just kind of repetitive now, or they're so power gated, or one trick pony officers that sometimes you're okay if you don't have to worry about having one, or they're just going to be obsoleted in 6 months anyway when the next group of officers comes along. So I think we pretty much nailed everything, got it all done here. These are just regular materials. I can't quite finish this up. So I'll have to come back in a couple days when I have done a few more daily pulls. But then that's it. The Revenant loop is just completely done. And, from start to finish, effectively just over 6 months from when I unlocked the ship. Obviously, 100 days to acquire, doing the refinery pulls. And then 6 months from start to finish. It's a good loop. I like it. I like that mechanic. Hopefully that timeline repeats itself for more ships in the future. Obviously, you might want to save doing some of this a little bit if you're not planning on using your Revenant for a day or two, and there happens to be like a domination event coming up or a ticket event where spending ship XP might matter. You might want to keep your eye on the prize there. But for me, I'm just going to click this button a whole lot and see how far my 126 million ship XP gets me. All right, we're just about, I've already burned through 90 million. We got it to back up to 51. Realistically, I could probably do 4 more levels and get this to like 55 before I run out of ship XP and have to start either, leaving it somewhere to auto grind or converting Latinum to get it all the way back up. We're just going to pause here and I'll worry about that when there's like a domination event or something, so I don't just completely overkill myself here. But I mean, I'm kind of back up 5+ billion power, which is where I was before I scrapped it and whatnot. So we'll get it the rest of the way and finish this up. And that's it. The Revenant's done. Thanks for watching the video. Hopefully you repeat the same steps and have the same level of success in the same amount of time I did, maybe even a little faster. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you around the galaxy. Take it easy, everybody.